Hello and welcome. I'm Jessica Woods and I'm talking today about crisis. Now, crisis can happen to any one of us at any point in our life. I know when I was a child, I didn't even consider that life was full of the challenges, the ups and downs that it is. And it was only later when I had my own crisis that I realized that all of us, regardless of who we are, doesn't matter our background, where we come from, our age, crisis can happen at any point in our life. Basically, crisis is an emotional, stressful, or traumatic event which happens usually abruptly. So, one of the things that I really wanted to share today is because we never know when these stressful events will affect us, we never know when we're going to go into a crisis. A crisis can occur for many reasons. It can be a group crisis, a worldwide crisis, and certainly we're seeing a lot of changes in our world at the moment. But also it can mean personal changes. That could mean that our job security, our financial security, our relationship security, or through death or loss in some way. But however the crisis occurs, it affects each and every one of us. And if we take the stand that we never know when it's going to happen, because usually we don't, sometimes we get warning signs. If it's a health crisis, our body may warn us that perhaps we're tired or we're lacking in something. So our physical body is usually a good indicator that something isn't right, that we're heading towards some kind of crisis. But emotional crisis, which is usually what happens to us, and emotional is how we react to that crisis. So we become anxious, fearful, stressed. And what I have realized myself through the crisis that we all experience at some point in our life, none of us will be exclusive from that, is it's how we handle that crisis. And when we're in the midst of it all, through our tears, our pain, our loss, and our sorrow, it's difficult, really difficult sometimes to stay focused. But if we can remember that we're not the only ones, and if we can also remember that there must be a reason this is happening to us. Now, when I have communicated with my soul and my divine self, as I call it, some people call it source, oneness, or that is God, it has said to me that our soul path chooses certain experiences for us to have growth throughout our life. And our first reaction to that might be, do we need this growth? Do we need this pain? Do we have to go through these experiences? And the answer to that quite clearly would be yes, because otherwise we wouldn't be having these experiences. We wouldn't find ourselves in crisis situation. And because it's something much bigger than ourselves, much larger than ourselves, and we cannot understand. We just want it to stop. We just want it to go away. We want change. And it's for that very reason that we've been asking for change on some level, whether that's our soul and we're not conscious of that, or whether we choose it through our thoughts and our actions, again, consciously or unconsciously, as we go about our lives and the things that we do. We are making decisions in each moment about what we're attracting from a frequency point of view. Our frequency is giving off whatever we are emanating, from the sense that if we're focused, for example, on, let's take health issues, if we are, I'm wondering, I've got a pain in my back and I'm just wondering if it's something really negative. And if we continue to think those thoughts, then the frequency that we're giving off is that searching, is it going to come back to me? Is it on some level? And so we don't know, and that creates anxiety and stress and fear. So because crisis, as I said, usually happens abruptly and without warning, what we can do is start to really understand that no matter what we go through, we wouldn't have anything that we couldn't handle, that there isn't anything that isn't in the long term for our benefit, for our growth. If we can know that we will come through these situations in whatever way that is, then we will come out stronger, more empowered, understanding and knowing more about ourselves. And if it's our sole choice to experience a particular crisis in our life, perhaps divorce, if that's what we have chosen before we came here to experience, then the only choice that we have is to allow for acceptance. We may not understand it. We may not be able to work it out. We may not even be able to change anything straight away. We might actually have to live into the pain or the trauma. But remember that nothing stays the same. We always come through. We survive. We thrive. And it changes us. And usually, if we allow it, for the better. We remember, we grow. We say, if these things happen, if I'm not more aware of how I feel, then I'm not in control of my reality. And when we start to become fully conscious of whatever is presented to us, it's how we actually deal with it, how we deal with it. We may get angry, we may need to cry, we may need to review a whole life review. We may have to review our life and look at the elements that haven't been working, those perhaps negative thoughts that we have been thinking, or that frequency that through our emotions that we've been giving out, that perhaps we're not strong, or that we don't value our freedom. Whatever it is, it will be presented to us. And so we can make it easier by accepting how we feel, accepting the situation. I know in my life, when I have let go, when I have surrendered, when I have accepted where I'm at, whether I like it or not, there's a sense of release that tends to happen. And then we can start to feel our own connection to what has occurred. And it gives us the opportunity to think about that, to question it, to allow ourselves to feel the emotions of what's happening. It wouldn't be happening. Nothing happens to us by chance. So it's being easy on ourselves. It's being gentle. It's reminding ourselves that this won't last forever. Everything changes. Everything changes for a reason. Whether we know what that reason is, perhaps we'll never know. But if we can soothe ourselves by saying, I can handle this, and allowing ourselves to express through our thoughts, through our feelings, and staying connected to our heart and being open to guidance, perhaps from your soul, God, divine self. It's a good time to just be open and continue to be open every day, knowing that whatever life has got in store for you, everything will be okay. Everything. In our darkest moments, we come through them. There's always light at the end of the tunnel. And I wish you that peace to know that you are strong. There isn't anything that you can't achieve. And yes, you may come out with battle scars. And yes, you may come out a very different person. But that can be so exciting to experience yourself and to know yourself in a different way, in a different light. And perhaps on some level, that's the change that you really desire. So remember, no matter what we go through, there's a reason. We may not know logically what that reason is, but we can begin to accept that life is changeable. Some things we have control over and some we don't. I bless you all. And no matter what you are experiencing, it's okay. Tell yourself, it's okay. I will come through this. Everything will change. All is well. Thank you very much for listening.